2014 a report which has been brought out by the Center for Study of Society and Secularism and Media House jointly and authored by Advocate Irfan Engineer. We are a small group today. I know it's the heat, the vacations, a lot of factors, but we are extremely happy that we have such a learned group today. We have Advocate Mihir Desai, who of course needs no introduction because he has been the savior, so to say, for a lot of people who are now under the scanner and have been really being targeted because he has been a very vocal voice for justice in communal riots, human rights violations, fake encounters, custodial deaths by police brutality, violations of freedom of speech and for journalists. He is a senior counsel who has been practicing in the Bombay High Court and the Supreme Court, and of course he is also part of PUCL. President of PUCL. So we welcome Advocate Mihir Desai.
Thanks, Irfan. This is Dipsy around. To begin with, let me congratulate. I can also say, along with Justice Dipsy, that I also work for the entire. So let me congratulate the center as well as Irfan for this excellent encyclopedic report. It's actually a report, maybe a misnomer. It's much more analytical than a report. But anyway, for the purposes of ease of language, I'll use the word report. This excellent report. And what the report does, the ground level reality, the analysis already has been discussed a lot by Irfan himself as well as by Ram and Justice Dipsy. So I won't go into that. I'll go into what I feel should be in the second volume. Okay? And I'll also have one criticism, which I'll say in the recommendations, where one of the recommendations is that there should be an anti-communal legislation, okay, a legislation against communal violence, that there should be a law. I'm extremely scared of having any new criminal law because this government is, I mean, of course, government changes, etc. is a different, but this government is extremely adept at criminalizing the most innocuous, weaponizing the most innocuous laws. You will have an anti-communal law which will be used against Muslims. Okay, so I would be very cautious in asking for any new law which is a criminal law. Okay, I mean, other things, anti-discrimination, etc., not an issue. But any new law which is a criminal law, I'm very, very skeptical of that one part. Apart from that, of course, I agree with all the recommendations. So that's one thing. The second thing which I just wanted to observe, as far as what should be in the, I'm sure a second volume will be out, and what should be there. I think Supreme Court has been let off very lightly in this volume. The judiciary has been let off very lightly in this volume. And I love to see the criticism of the judiciary. It's Ayodhya, you mentioned Sabrimala. Okay? But the way they have dealt with Gyanwadi, the way they have legitimized what Ayodhya was supposed to be a one-off thing, according to the judgment itself, that it's a one-off thing. We are doing it here, but now Places of Worship Act will apply to everybody. That it's part of the basic structure of the constitution. That's what the Ayodhya judgment said. But the same judge who has written that judgment, whether, I mean, they have not given the authorship, but for either feeling of fear or what, I don't know, but the authorship has not been given to that Ayodhya judgment. Okay? But one knows from the language who has written that judgment. Okay? It's obvious. Okay? The same judge allows Gyan market to continue, despite saying that this is a one-off thing. Places of Worship Act will continue to apply. And now this is going to lead, I mean, it's, you know what is happening. It's happening in A, B, C, D, and Varanasi, it is happening. It's happening in Mathura, and Kashi, Mathura, etc. etc. And different places it will start happening. There's nothing to stop, digging up all old mosques or whatever it is and finding out some remnant of somewhere, etc. etc. And as we all know, that all accountability institutions have been completely hollowed out, okay, in the last 10 years. All accountability institutions. Whether it's your NHRC, whether it's your minority commissions, whether it's your CBI, NIA, or whatever investigating agencies, election commission. Election commission is so scared to even send a notice to Modi saying that you have given a hate speech. That's the situation we are living in. That and the guy, of course, the reason why he's giving, hopefully, is because he's scared of what is happening in the elections. So that's a good thing to go by. But the point is that you are so scared. The other thing is that hate speech, which generally, okay, a whole chapter is devoted to hate speech in the report. How do you control it? And I'll just give experience of mine, what legally what had happened. There is a matter pending in Supreme Court. Supreme Court, there was a matter filed saying that hate speeches are going on and police are not doing anything, rallies are going on, people are giving all kinds of hate speeches, nothing is happening, etc. So, and see, all these rallies are by the Hindutva forces. I mean, I don't believe, for instance, that the Christians or the Muslims, even if they wanted, or even if they want to, would be able to take out rallies against and shout slogans against Hindu religion. I mean, that's just, it's just not possible in the present environment. But anyway, so all these rallies are going on, no action is being taken. So finally, Supreme Court told the police that wherever these kind of rallies are taking place, okay, you have to video record, and if there are hate speeches being given, then you file an FIR, first information. So this happened in January, February of this year, or late last year. So in some of the rallies now they kept the matter, they continued monitoring the matter. So the next time when the case came up, they had already lodged some 9-10 FIRs against people who had given hate speeches. They were not doing enough FIRs, so 2 cases were filed in Bombay High Court. One Justice Tripse referred to against that Nitesh Rane and Veera speeches which had led to violence. Another, I will know that case we filed in respect of one Pavaskar, who is the Vice President of BJP, and who was giving hate speeches which led to killing, a murder, etc. etc. Again, no FIRs filed. So finally, we went to court. The court, one of the few good judges in Bombay Court. So the court passed an order saying, what are you doing? I mean, why is no action being taken? And Supreme Court is saying, file an FIR, why are you not lodging? Just because one happens to be Nitish Rane, another happens to be Vice President of BJP, why are you not lodging FIR? So next day, in the case which I was handling, they came with an FIR. In the case which Justice Tripse referred to, the Advocate General came in, because now it's become a little too much again. How can the state allow even FIRs to be lodged against functionaries of BJP? I mean, that's little unheard of thing. But anyway, so they found a new way. They lodged FIRs. Okay? They lodged FIRs. Now what will happen? No action will be taken. So they have technically complied with what the court had. No FIR. No action will be taken. So we said, okay, FIR is lodged, but how are you going to, arrest the guy? Or do something. I mean, what is happening? What is your investigation? Because normally what will happen here is that these are all FIRs under 153A of the Indian Penal Code. I won't go into the legality of it, but they require ultimately for cognizance to be taken sanction of the state government. Sanction of the state government will never happen. Arrest will never happen. So we are still at the first stage where we are at least getting them to lodge FIRs. We don't know how many walls we have to hit our head against, because no action will be taken against them. No sanction will be given. Even in some remote case when sanction is given, the state government will withdraw the case after some years. See, this is the kind of thing which is happening. When we talk about, for instance, the Supreme Court, one of the things which your second chapter should, I don't know whether it was a strategic decision or otherwise, but the Kashmir issue has to be one of the central issues. If you want to see the communal agenda of our government, Kashmir is a central issue. You can't not write about it, you can't not discuss it. Okay? It is a central issue. The way the Supreme Court dealt with Article 370 and its abrogation, the way the Supreme Court dealt with habeas corpus petitions which were filed in 2019, the way the Supreme Court dealt with the internet bans, shameful, let me put it that way. The completely combination. Your second volume should deal with Kashmir, because we can't talk about communalism in this country without talking about what is happening in Kashmir today. That's my that's how I look at it. So that's the other thing. Okay? The third thing is, of course, I think earlier speakers also, including Irfan, also mentioned that you have to the ghettoization which is happening. If you are a Muslim and try to get buy a house, okay, or even having an license, it's very difficult to get it in an area which is a non-Muslim ghetto. It's very difficult. People have written quite a lot about it, and I think it's important because the insidious discrimination which happens at a very ground level, which Justice Sipsa also spoke about, is something which we also need to reflect somehow. And ghettoization is there, education is there, all these issues. I think it's like if I go to when I wanted to buy a place a couple of years back, when I was looking for places, and I went, and society people were only, two ways. One is, of course, that veg food is allowed or non-veg food is allowed. That's one kind of thing. Okay? But even if non-veg food is allowed, they will tell you straight away that I would ask that anybody is allowed to come anybody is allowed to buy houses. Yeah, everybody except N people we don't allow. N people we are not allowed. So this is very, very normal. Very, very normal. But this is the other thing which I think CA is going to be a major issue. You know, written about it quite a bit in the report. That CA is going to be a major issue. But apart from CA, NRC is also going to be a major issue. Though NRC, because see what happens is, and I also feel they don't need to repeal the constitution and substitute it with something else. You don't need to do all that. Okay? They don't even need to carry out major amendments to the constitution. If they are able to get away with everything because of certain judicial interpretations, by remaining within the constitutional framework, it doesn't really matter. You have a CA with right to citizenship based on birth already ingrained in the constitution. You can still have CA which may not be struck down. Why do you need to change the constitution? For what do you need to change the constitution? And see, constitution changing is also a little bit of a problem for them because it's seen as Ambedkar's baby. Okay, so you don't want to really put off the Dalits. You are putting them off in various different ways anyway. You don't want to do this by changing the entire constitution to another constitution. So repeal of constitution is not something which I feel is going to happen. What may happen, of course, is maybe some changes because secularism and socialism were two words added in the preamble in 76 during, it is not a part of the original constitution. So they can avoid the Ambedkar debate and they can remove those two words, etc. Then they can do that. So that is something which is possible. Whether they will do it or not, we don't know. Okay. So I think these are some of the things which I feel that need to be also done in a second book, second volume of the book rather. Because especially a chapter on judiciary, because as I mentioned about say the whole the judiciary's response to Kashmir, judiciary's response to Sabrimala, judiciary's response to hijab, judiciary's response to I don't know what, like the criminalization of triple talaq. Okay, triple talaq is one thing. I'm talking about criminalization of triple talaq. Okay. That's another thing. Look at what happened in Hadia's case, okay, which was again Shuma's love jihad case. Finally, she had to come and say that I'm one of my own free will, and the court had to release. But at the same time, the court in the same judgment, when they say that she is entitled to go with whoever she wants to, also says that NIA can continue investigation into love jihad. Again, the same judge who wrote the Ayodhya judgment. I don't need to name you. Okay. So you see, so you have all. Look at the way the Rohingyas have been treated by the Supreme Court. The judgment of Justice Bobde, who was then the Chief Justice, okay, very categorically says, okay, because there is an argument that look, if these Rohingyas are sent back, okay, to Myanmar, they'll be killed. They'll be killed. So what is the response? The response is where we can't decide how, we can't comment about how a particular country will treat its citizens. Now if you can't comment about how a particular country will treat its citizens, then be at least uniform and say that we can't give citizenship to Hindus who have come from Pakistan because Pakistan treated them badly. By the same logic. Okay. The same logic. That Myanmar treats its Rohingyas badly, okay, you will not comment about it. But when Pakistan treats Hindus badly, and I have no doubt about it that they treat them badly, okay, treats them badly, then I will not, then that is fine. That is CA is fine. You can't have that kind of a double. Well, that is what is happening. So I personally feel that I look, and these are the. I'm just concluding in 2-3 minutes. These are only issues which we talk about, which are obviously dealing with, obvious discriminatory practice. But look at situations like, say, Delhi riots, okay, where a CA protest, okay, has been converted. Okay, a protest against CA, peaceful protest going on for months together, okay, has been converted now, has been weaponized. That's what I meant by weaponization. Okay, against the people, okay, against Muslims, okay, against young students. Against those students, it has been converted into something like where they will under UAPA they have been in jail for 3 years, 4 years. Okay. Bail is not being given to them. You have at one level the Supreme Court keep on saying that one day's freedom is very important, every day's freedom is very important, etc., etc. So you have those lectures when Arnab Goswami is arrested, okay? But when Umar Khalid is faced with a situation where he has to withdraw that case, okay, from the Supreme Court for obvious reasons, I am not going to go into that. Okay, so this is I think look at what happens to Delhi riots is one thing, Bhima Koregaon is another thing. In fact, I remember 2011-12 was very good days. Though there were people being arrested under UAPA, we used to appear in High Court before Justice Thipse, and Justice Thipse giving his interpretation, would release people on bail. Okay, we have had that situation, the Arup Goya's judgment and all that, which has now been again in the review, has been, yes. So,
that time it was upheld.
yes. See, because what happens is that many times what I feel is that many judges become radical after retirement. But Justice Thipse is one person whom I have seen who was radical even when he was on the ranks. So, but anyway, that's different point. Since I was here and I'm sharing the riots with him, I felt I must at least
you have
say
to
this.
welcome it.
Huh?
You should welcome it out, even after retirement.
Absolutely, there's no question about it. So, anyway, what I was saying was that you look at the misuse of UAPA, for instance, which is happening against certain communities. Same thing, you have the misuse of PMLA, for instance, which is happening. Now, all those things, and what happens, what is happening in Supreme Court last 2-3 years at least, is activists who take a case to Supreme Court, whether it was Gujarat riots and East Assam, whether it was the tribals in Chhattisgarh and Himanshu Kumar, whether it's EVM and Prashant Bhushan. Okay? Just yesterday, when the Supreme Court says that I feel that these are vested interests who are talking about EVM. I mean, what is the basis for? There is a genuine apprehension. We may be right, we may not be right. Okay, in place that representative, you are fighting in a court of law, you are making your legal arguments, you are saying that these things should not be done. On that basis, how can you say that these are vested interests whose intentions are to be doubted, who are trying to bring down the nation's prestige internationally? These are the observations made yesterday by the Supreme Court. Okay, about people who challenge the EVM. Similar things. You have Himanshu Kumar, who is facing a sword on his head, who might be in jail because he represented the tribals. You have Tisa Sakalwar, who already went to jail and came back because she was representing the community, the Muslims who were victims. Now, that's why what happens is this has a chilling effect on people. This is a chilling effect. These people will be able to take it. Okay, they will take it. I mean, Tisa will take it. Himanshu is not bothered. Himanshu says, "I am not paying the fine. Go to where you want to send me to jail. You send me to jail." But these kind of things have a. Prashant Bhushan is also not bothered. Do what you want, kind of thing. But I am going to stand by my commitments. I believe in certain things. I'm going to do. So, I think the trajectory of the Supreme Court, and this is something which, if in the next your second volume, if you can cover that would be very good. Let me end by saying that, despite what I said, whatever my very, very minor criticism might be, I think it's an excellent book which rightly being translated into Hindi and Marathi, hopefully in many other languages. And it's an incredible job which has been done with limited resources, as Irfan was pointing out. And I think we must all have a big round of applause for it.